Good evening, everybody. I guess welcome to another set of my insane rambling thoughts. I wanted to take a few minutes to talk about steaks, cakes, and food stamps. Share a little bit about how the words people say have a huge impact on those that they're directed towards, far beyond what people are willing to accept. Growing up, I never had much of an opportunity to enjoy things that people often take for granted as a normal part of the American experience. Birthdays were never much of a thing in my family because with 7 children and low income, it wasn't something where there was much of an opportunity to have a celebration. Looking over how people in similar situations are treated in grocery stores when using EBT cards or food stamps kind of ties into how hard it is for people in low-income areas to be able to enjoy basic niceties that people take for granted. You often hear stories about people complaining about those in front of them paying for steaks or junk food or nice cakes or things that would seem like something that an average person would be allowed to buy, but they're expressing anger because they feel that those people shouldn't be allowed to have something like that. And at no point do they stop and wonder, why would they not be allowed to have this? As if being low income and having to use supplemental aid precludes you from being able to enjoy your life. What that means is that there are situations where, myself for example, a few years ago I made a comment to a co-worker about not eating steak because it wasn't something that ever came up. It was a nicety that was too expensive to be able to enjoy, and that carried over with me well into my 30s. And I had to put up with derision that I'm sure they felt was lighthearted, but that really cut deep because it reminded me that there are so many things that the average person takes for granted as a part of the American experience that I accepted a long time ago as just not being something that I would ever really deal with. And I enjoy steak, I enjoy meat, I enjoy food in general. Something that I don't enjoy are birthdays. Going back to the situation where birthdays are something that is a celebration, but that can be very costly, either in money, time, or both, it's something that I remember being excited for as a very young child. And there were a couple of times that we had birthday celebrations in the family, but they weren't the norm. It was an increased cost in supplies, in time that my mother didn't always have, and trying to have that done fairly across a large group of children just wasn't feasible. And while I remember there being a time that I was excited about things like birthdays, it was more for the opportunity to do something different, to do something exciting, to enjoy something different. And over time, I lost that excitement to the point that birthdays don't have any feeling for me. I can't celebrate them along with my family. I can't celebrate them along with my friends because I don't have any feeling about them. It's just an empty hole for me. And listening to some of the same people who give me shit about not participating in those types of celebrations, even when I've tried to explain to them the impact of their views and their very outspoken views on what they consider to be welfare queens, taking advantage of the system, how those are few and far between as the minority, and how the majority of the fraud in the welfare system is actually done at an administrative level, not at the level of those who are receiving benefits. But none of that seems to sink in. And I'm still left with people shitting on those who are in need, while at the same time refusing to accept the consequences of their viewpoints on those people well into adulthood, both on the adults and on the children, to the point that simple pleasures in life, like a birthday cake or a well-cooked steak, are something that people like me just can't enjoy. There's too much baggage that goes along with it, and you can't just drop it. So enjoy your steaks, enjoy your birthdays and your cakes. I suppose somebody has to, but I can't. I wish that I could say that there's some way that I can explain to the people who continue and perpetuate those myths that people in low-income areas, people who are using those benefits, are just trying to have the best life that they can, and that constantly shitting on them and pretending that they're crooks and criminals and cheating the system is breaking them. But if I haven't figured out how to explain it by now, I don't think I will. What I really want is people to just be willing to treat each other like they matter. It's amazing that in a world where billions of people claim to attach themselves to a belief system that says you're supposed to love your neighbors as yourself, that you're supposed to support those who are most in need, that they go out of their way to shit down on those who they feel are beneath them. But thinking that people will treat each other like people doesn't seem to fit in with humans, not just in this country, but across the world. I want it to be different. I want people to be better, and I believe they can be better. But the belief that people can be better doesn't mean much coming from an insane guy. It's an insane thought. Just a few more thoughts from an insane bookworm. Try to be better. Try to be good to each other. Be safe.